Hello everyone and welcome to PaxAriaGaming. This is Reg. This is part 8 of Wuchang Fallen Feathers. We are picking up where we left off last part, part 7. If you will remember...
Ah, my friend.
I will talk over
It's been a long time since we last met. The feathering and worships rise. It's spreading like wildfire. I had to flee before I ended up like the afflicted. Luckily, I managed to escape with a few villagers I knew. This camp, it's humble, but at least we're safe. For now, it's a place to call home. Business is rough these days. If you happen to come upon anything of value, don't hesitate to come to me.
This will be our hub, at least through this chapter. I'm not quite sure whether or not it's going to be the hub in the next chapter. But this rebel camp, there are a bunch of different... Actually, it's not the rebel camp. This refugee camp is our new hub. This little area leads us to the next region that we're going to be dealing with in Mount Zhenwu, and that is the Avian Marsh. We'll meet up with some characters from earlier in the game in this area. So at least one character from earlier in the game. Yes, every time we see one of those little birds, we want to take it out. I tend to only use those feathers in boss fights. You don't really need them for regular enemies. And I usually burn through them since, you know, I end up fighting most bosses a gazillion times. So if you've never used those feathers, by this point in the game, you probably have something like 60 or 70, or pretty close to it. If you use them like me, then you probably have maybe 10 or 15. These avian elites and avian type bird-like people are pretty tough. They're tougher enemies than we've faced up to this point that aren't bosses. And they're sort of sprinkled throughout this region of the game. not a lot of these types of enemies. There are a few of them, and they're basically harmless. They're harmless compared to everything else that we see in the area. Not that they can't hurt you if you just stand there and let them wail on you. The dogs look a little different than the dogs we saw in the previous chapter. But they're not different. They don't fight any differently. I don't think they have any afflictions that they can put on you, so not that difficult. And like all other regions of the game, there are a bunch of branching paths. At least in the snowy area, you can see your trail of where you've been. And in these areas, you really can't. So some of them will lead to dead ends, some will not. Some will lead to shortcuts. We will discover them all. And there's pretty decent amount of loot here as well. The other thing is, most of the enemies, even though you would think they blend into the environment a little bit better, you can see most of them. Not a lot of jump scares in this part. You don't have to worry about mines, which is great. So there's the marsh, and then there's the Avian Dwelling. Those are the two main sections of this avian section of the game, which is relatively small. It's a side area. This is not a requirement. You can skip all of this, actually. No, right, that's true. It's not a requirement, but if you skip it, you'll mess up the White-Robed Elder's quest, because he's going to be featured in this little section. So I don't know how his quest would end if you don't do this part. Because you'll meet him a couple of times. But in theory, yes, this is a side area, or not a required, or I guess optional is the word you use. So it's an optional area, including the final boss of this particular little section. She's also optional. She's also very difficult. But I think it's worth doing. I mean, I don't know whether you want to get into the habit of skipping parts. Back with Wuchang had a bunch of optional areas. But in order to unlock the fight with Erlang Shang at the end of the game, you really needed to do all of those optional areas. And most of them were fun. One was incredibly difficult. Yellow Long was incredibly difficult. Not so much on New Game Plus. But in the first playthrough, it was really, really difficult. So this shrine is a hub shrine that will branch. I believe there's a. Let's see if the when the compass pops back up. I think there are 3 ways that you can go from this shrine. So I'm at level 57. Not too bad. And
the downfall of mortals,
the red-clad lady, who we haven't seen since the last chapter.
Deity's punishment. The fact that you're still standing means you're chosen. Either way, I was sent here by the primordial deity himself. Yet, the people remain blind to his will. Their ignorance has led to nothing but war and suffering. Tell me, if sacrificing the worthless could save the world, would you do it? Good. Then follow my words, and I'll use that resolve to help lift your curse.
So she is one of, other than the people in the refugee camp, her and the white-robed elder will be the only 2 sort of main characters in this little section. And once we move on to one of the temples in Mount Zhenwu, we'll see some other ones. And of course, you know, after you fight a boss, you go back and I guess you come back to the new hub we just unlocked, but you also go back to one of the other temples as well. Just to continue to progress any storylines that you might have there. And I think this is a storyline I think I've sort of goofed. That I need to fix, if it's not too late to fix. I don't think it's too late to fix it, actually. It's Huang Juan Yi. I've been focused on Nian's quests and some of the other ones, and I've been following those pretty closely. Hers, for some reason, I think I must have missed talking to her at some point, or missed giving something back to her at some point. I don't know whether I'm locked out of it, but I'll figure that out. I don't know who else this summoner actually summons. The boar was there, we killed it, but the summoner is continuing to bang the drum. I know there's no giant horse like in the last section, and I think it was Hill's Watch. And you do have these lotus priests. And they will be a feature throughout this entire chapter, by the way. He's across the way tossing these lotus things at us. He's too far away for us to get to. Although, with magic, that's not exactly true. But the way forward is climbing down a ladder, and if you climb down that ladder, he's going to keep throwing these lotus things at you, and they will cause you to fall. So trying to get the timing right, and I'm going to go and launch some fire faces at him. Okay, great. That works. These little things follow you for quite a distance. So we're going to recharge the fire face, we launch 2 more of them, and we should be able to kill them from a distance. There's a variant of these that uses despair. This one doesn't. The variant that uses despair sort of glow, has a white glow to it. So you can always tell the difference between the two. I won't say these are harmless, but they're much easier to kill than the despair ones. The ones with despair, if you're far enough away, when they see you, your despair meter begins to rise. And if you have the consumable to get rid of it, that does work as well as armor, but it works for a very short distance. It doesn't make you immune to it. It only cures the status effect. But if you're in an area with despair and you take that particular consumable, the despair will start to rise again immediately after you take it. So it's only helpful in, if you're actually confronting the boss at that time. They're pretty easy to kill, by the way. Okay, I think the guy should be dead. Yeah, it's really, really easy to get a poison break on them. And I'm using a short sword, and that's not the easiest thing in the world to get a poise break with. This is the ladder we wanted to go, and you can see it's a pretty long ladder, and if the thing had hit you and you'd fallen down, you weren't going to survive it. So this is actually going to lead us to another shrine. Call it the section shrine. Right, because the hub shrine that we just unlocked is actually, when we're traversing this area, it's a little bit of a hike away. And there will be shortcuts that we can unlock as well. This is the Avian Marsh. And it's got these leech creatures in it. They're very weak to fire. I just wasted a face. I only needed one. And you would think that something that lives in a marsh might be weak to fire. They're leech creatures, they're baby clams, and then they're giant clams in this little section. But before we do any of that, off to the right is going to be the next shrine. After we read this note. They use poison, or I guess blight is what you would call it. And one of the things I didn't do was to walk all the way to the end of this little road, because the way forward is off to your left. I don't think there's anything further ahead, unless it loops back around. There's a lot of loop arounds in this part of the game as well. You have that giant clam or oyster or whatever the hell it's supposed to be in the middle, right there. Weak to fire, but will spit water balls at you. And then you have the baby clams that just popped out. They don't shoot water balls at you. They spin around, and it almost looks like it's fire. Anyway, they spin at you. They're very easy to kill. And there's really very little reason to waste magic on them, because they're so easy to kill. So, but I'm wasting magic anyway. It's just, yeah, very easy. So. The reason to go beyond, because the path forward is actually up a little bit of a slope right beside him on his left. So if you clear the area and you come back to this area, you don't need to fight him again unless you want to for the XP. Otherwise, all you need to do is just run to his left. But there's some loot behind him that we need to get, and beside him, so that's why we're doing this. See, this little area, I just don't think it leads to anywhere. I didn't explore it. The thing about a game that doesn't have a map is that it sort of forces you to explore. The ones with maps, you know, gives you a little bit more guidance. It acts as a bit of a guide. The ones without maps can be frustrating because you don't know whether or not you're doing things in the correct order, because it's not exactly linear. Like this little section you don't need to do at all. And you don't need to do this to unlock, you know, the rest of Zhenwu Mountain. But you do have those doors at the refugee camp that were locked, and we will end up unlocking each of them from a different part of this whole section of the whole chapter of Mount Zhenwu. So all roads lead back to the refugee camp. So I guess one reason to do this is that one of those doors will lead from here, I guess. And you can go up and fight him. The thing is, you don't want to be grabbed. Although at this point, since he's just about half dead, I don't think that he can actually kill me. going to have a couple of dogs in this area. Figure out which way to take. I don't think I can go that way anyway. Okay, so this just loops around. You can sort of see we're going to end up hitting every one of these areas, by the way. Just so if you see loot somewhere in the distance and you're like, oh, I'm gonna miss that loot, you won't. We're going to loop around. There's one of those lotus priests in the background waving the flag thingy around. So you're going to want to take him out quickly. There's also one of those exploding guys who's going to run after you and he'll probably die. You want to run up to this guy. Yeah, so the exploding guy exploded, so he's gone. Yeah, these guys are pretty weak. And you want to kill them quickly because you don't want them to summon the phantoms that come and fight for them. It takes them a long time to summon them, so these guys are pretty easy to kill. So there are going to be a couple of drop downs as well, where I think we did this in the Mercury laboratories, where you go out onto a limb that has loot on it, and then the limb breaks, and then you fall down below, and you have to work your way back up to where you were. There are a couple of those in this area. Some of them are pretty annoying. One of them, if you were quick enough, you could get off of it before it breaks, but you'll see what happens when I get there. And like I said, there's plenty of loot. None of it, I can't say none of it, because there's a chest. There's a big chest. There are a couple of little chests. So there's major loot, but most of what you will find, this stuff, is like minor loot. That we can't get from here, but we'll work our way around to it eventually. There are a couple more of these leech guys ahead of us. I don't think there's another Lotus Priest immediately near us. Nope, I'm wrong, because there's a leech guy off to the left and there's a Lotus guy off to the right. The leech guy is right there. But I think you can kill the leech guy without the Lotus guy actually noticing. He's looking out over a cliffside, so he's not really looking back towards you. And they all appear to be deaf. They don't, they don't react to some other guy getting killed nearby. Well, that was done. We're going to continue to work our way around this little path. I don't think there's anything. Nope, there's nothing over there. those lotus guys can be knocked off the cliff. All it does is make them much more difficult to kill because they end up landing on the next level down. There's a leech guy in front of us and a leech guy to his left, my right, as you walk through this tree thing. So you have to be really, really, really careful. Although, I don't think the leech guys can actually kill you. I think you can relay them. So if you were just to go and pick that up, you could get attacked or ambushed by the leech guy. Okay, so the fire killed him. It's good. Using fire probably should make sure my benediction thingies are set for fire. I'm not sure they are. I don't remember how it's set. Okay, so I went back to pick that item up. The drop down causes you to confront your inner demon. I'm not as intimidated by them as I was earlier in the game. Actually, I'm more afraid of the senior maidens than I am the inner demon now. The inner demon doesn't rush you like the senior maiden does. Senior maiden just constantly roundhouse kicks you and stuff like that. This one sort of gives you plenty of space, although the difference is she can heal. I don't think the senior maidens heal. I think this one does. And I should be using fire instead of magic. I'm not sure why I'm being stubborn about using this Vorpal blade thing, the weakest sort of magic thingy that I have. I did learn my lesson about, okay, so she had a heal. That one didn't really do a whole lot. So whatever she just did, I'm going to undo with that. And I'm going to try to... She hit so hard. I know I can't trade. I learned that lesson earlier in the game. You know, trying to trade punches where they ended up with me dying. And I think she only has one heal. I don't think she has more than one heal. Oh no, sorry, she has 2 heals. That's okay, I'm going to bring you right back down to where you were before you healed. Yeah, I guess short sword versus spear is probably not a fair fight. Okay, so I ended up wasting my my 2 tempering. Hopefully I won't need them for anything before we get back to a shrine. So we can grab all this stuff. And then we're gonna walk. Looks like there's no way for you to get out of here, but there's a, I guess these are tree roots. You can walk at one of the tree roots. This one, right? Nope, the other way, Wuchang. This one. You know, it's really funny because there are others like this in the game that you can't walk up. Take out the leech. And I think there are a couple more clam creatures here. One of them is underwater. And when you approach an item, it jumps up. Yeah, it looks like you'll be able to just duck and get that, but you have to work your way around to it. I'm just being careful because I'm like, okay, what else is in this little area? Okay, this is, okay. Little baby clams are in this area. I knew it was too quiet. Some of them were off to the side and they look like they're inert. And then you have the ones like the one you can lock on, you know it's there because you can lock on it. And if you'd walked over to get that item, you would have reached up and snatched. Okay. I was messing around. That took way longer than I should have. Alright, let me start paying attention again. A reason to be careful in this area is that some clams, for some weird reason, are on the ceiling. Or I guess these are tree roots, but up above, and they will drop down on you. Not the big ones, the little ones. It looks like we're good. Yeah, you should be able to one-shot the leeches, but I don't know why sometimes I can and sometimes I can't. They make this very loud noise when they die, which sounds like they're like right behind you. I don't know what's in those cages or whether they can drop down. That's why I'm being a little ultra cautious here. Doesn't look like, looks like they're just for decoration, so we're going to carefully move forward. Grab the loot. It's just sitting out here in the open waiting to be grabbed, which always seems sketchy. But maybe not. Okay, cool. I guess not. We'll continue to make our way through this little marsh. Eventually, we're going to end up back up top. There's one of those hanging clams. Yeah, so there are a few of them. There are not a lot of them hanging around like that, but there are a few of them. And whenever you see loot, you always want to look around because it just seems too good to be true. We're going to eventually get the one up top as well. But it requires you to really loop through this place. We saw some of this loot from above when we were up above, and we looked down and we can see it. And then we took that drop down. It got us down into this area. There's another drop down as well. I don't think it takes you all the way back down here. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't need to run from this little leech thing. This was the loot we saw when we were on the other side looking, and we couldn't looked like something we could just duck under to get over, and we couldn't. This is where that stuff was. We were on the other side. So the drop down had more than one purpose. Actually, I guess there's only really one purpose, and that is to loot everything that's down below. And that's what we did. So now we can work our way back up. And since everything looks alike, the only way you sometimes know whether you've been to a space or not is whether or not there's still enemies there, unless you reset the world. So if you didn't reset, then you know you haven't been here. This we saw from the other side, and we can't get to it. Actually, we saw from this side. So what we have to do is eventually work our way around to that, and then when we get the loot, we'll drop down and end up back down here. There's some loot off to the right, which we should be able to get. And there's going to be an avian creature, avian birdman that's gonna be waiting for you. This little area leads back to the shrine. So you want to kick this ladder down, it gives you a shortcut. So if you need to go back and heal, you can, although bearing in mind it will reset the whole world. These guys are weak to fire. You can go down there and fight them if you want to, or you can do what I'm gonna do, which is to just stand right here where he can't reach me and try to burn him to death. For some reason, he won't walk around and just come up here, which would be easy to do. So I guess maybe they're bird brain. They're just not that smart. I just wasted a face thingy. The other thing in this little area is if you go off to the right side, which we'll eventually go off to, it should be Glut's token. Right, but we know Glut is dead because we saw him. We saw his body splayed out on a table in a research lab, so you will not find his token here. So if you had told Glut not to go look for his master, but the other choice, because you had two choices when you meet Glut. If you met him, I know there's some people playing the game that never met him. He was in a tent inside one of the rebel camps. If you met him, you would have had two choices to tell him. I told him to go search for his master, and that got him killed. I guess if you had given him the other choice, he wouldn't have died there, but might have died here. I guess. Not sure. Not a happy ending for the kid. And I go for Matchstick's quest because I didn't speak to his grandmother before I spoke to him. I did go back and talk to her. I did go back and get the bowl from her and all that good stuff, but Matchstick was gone by then. I don't know where he is. I haven't found him. I haven't found his body, so maybe he's still around. I'm not sure. So anyway, so after you kill the avian bird guy, I was just going around here to look to see. So if Glut's token would have been right around here. That's what I'm looking for, and it's not. But I knew it shouldn't be there since Glut is dead. So since it's not here, we can go ahead and progress forward, which is down below. Some soul grass, which I've used from time to time. Gives you a little bit of a stamina boost. Okay, so the slope is taking us sort of back up. I hear a bird somewhere that I can't see. Oh, here's another drop down. I think this is the one that if you grab the item and walk back, you won't drop down. I think there's only one of them like that. All the other ones will drop down. So I think there's only one where that won't be the case. Nope, that's not that one because that happened too fast. And I guess if one of those birdmen were there, you'd be dead. Take out this guy. The good thing about this is all these little drop downs will lead you to an area that you haven't been to get more loot. Yeah, I'm not going to get that down basement thing. The good news is those exploding guys will die once they miss you. So you don't have to worry about actually fighting them. Just dodge past them. There's another one up there. I think the thing that makes them tricky is that they can knock you off of this little ledge. If you don't dodge and you happen to be close to the ledge and they hit you, you will fall off. And you have one of these invisible bridge thingies, which, of course, in an earlier chapter, I didn't know was an invisible bridge, but now I know it is. And there are a couple of items out there, but guess what? Your boy is not brave enough to try that. I remember doing this in Elden Ring and died so many times. I was like, is it really worth doing it? In Elden Ring, it sort of is, or you sort of have to. In this one, I'm not sure. But the next one we come to, because I think there's more than one of these in the game, I will do it. This one, I'm like, just not brave enough yet. But I will do the next one, I promise. I think it's a little bit more forgiving than the Elden Ring ones. But the one thing you can't see in this one is where people have died, right? Like in Elden Ring, you can sort of see if you're playing online, you can sort of see the blood splatters and stuff like that. So you get little hints, but even so, it's a tight. This one isn't as tight. Now this little area is going to lead progressively up. And I don't know if we'd taken the invisible path, where that would have led to, actually. I'm not sure where that one would lead. I believe this is the one where you have time to actually grab the item and walk back. Grab the item. I'm sitting here ruminating over it, and instead of walking back immediately, that's what happened. And you die. I guess if I'd lucked up, I would have fallen onto the invisible bridge. That's what happens. So I had to work my way sort of back to the area where I was, which was unfun because I didn't remember how the hell I got here. This was the item we saw from the other side of the same little walkway that we're on that we couldn't get to. But at least we got it now. So even getting lost will get you loot. But the other loot won't regenerate, so you always know you're making progress by finding loot in the game. if you go through a section where there is no loot, either you've been there, more than likely you've been there before. More than likely. We know that the area we were in was a pathway leading directly up. So we need to work our way back. This is... Yeah, that was the avian guy that we fought once before. This is where we died. I don't know what they mean by some of this stuff that they say when they die. This one said, I feel nothing, or I fear nothing. I think he said I feel nothing, but I don't know why they say that. Okay, before we were rudely interrupted by my death, because I was busy chilling out looking at the loot that I just obtained from climbing out onto that breakable thing. We're going to continue to make our way forward. We're going to grab this item. Through here are two of the avian bird guys. There's one right there and there's one off to the right. And while they're not the elite version, because there's another version of these avian guys that are much, much tougher than these guys. But since I'm a squishy magic user, I definitely don't want to get into combat, hand-to-hand combat with them. And if you can separate them, kite one away from the other one, and kill them one at a time, that would be much easier. Okay, so that's going to be my strategy, is blast one of them twice, which should take their health down by half. Run far enough away that they de-aggro, at least that only one of them starts walking towards you. And twice again. I didn't have to. That was my bad. That's why I didn't want to fight them. He's forcing me the full hands. Whoa. I got really lucky. Yeah, they're hyper aggressive. So I heal up and deal with the other one. Yeah, they're really, really, really aggressive. Okay, we're going to try to use the same strategy we used on the first one on this one. I think they fight the same. I'm not sure that they're different. These two are the same version versus the elite ones that you'll see that are bigger and stronger looking. He's just standing over there waiting for me. Just in case. Oh, catch that one. Okay, that worked. So we're gonna exit the opposite door that opposite from the door that we came in. And there's another strong enemy over there, and there's a tree that leads to a shortcut as well. Or at least a tree that creates a shortcut. So the first thing we'd want to do is to deal with the shortcut and not fight him first. Unless, of course, he aggroes onto us just because we walk out here. And he's the only enemy in this area. So you don't have to worry about, oh, if I go out there, 8 other people are going to come out after me. No, it's just the one. So you want to roundhouse kick this tree down. And now you want to deal with this guy.
Yeah. Taste my blade. This is for my fallen brethren.
Yeah, this one uses a blade infused with fire, and he can slam it into the ground and create what looks like lava. I'm not sure what it is, but that stuff. Fire, I knew it. The fire was going to get me. Okay. Now, oddly enough, when I came back to this area, he was gone. I don't know where he went. I didn't kill him, and he didn't have any status effect on him that would have killed him before I got back. And actually, the world resets, right? So I'm not sure what happened with that guy. Unless he's just not always in that spot, and for some reason he is was that time. It was just weird. Anyway, so we will continue from where we left off with that guy. I didn't take that shortcut to see where it actually leads. Okay, it was going in the opposite direction, so at least I think I was going in the opposite. Yes, because the tree is off to the left. All right, so the way forward is forward. I think there's one more little subsection other than the invisible road one before we get to the end of this part. Actually, I'm wrong. I think there are 2 more. That's one of the despair priests. That's what happens when you get too close to them and you don't use your consumable quick enough. Okay, so we're going to come back to that guy later, because we don't need to do that. We were on our way somewhere different, and then we happened upon him. So let's continue where we were supposed to be going in the first place. We will get back to them. There's a whole little section of multiple despair priests, and the one that we saw was protecting a chest for a flask upgrade. So we definitely need to go back to get him. I don't think I've missed any of the flask upgrades so far. But if you have the right pendant on, I think I have 9 charges now. I think when this was recorded, I think it might have been 7. I'll see in a second. I don't know what the max is. I saw someone play that had 11. I was like, wow, you can get 11 of these? But I don't know whether you need that many unless you just plan on skipping the shrines that you come across, because you don't want to reset the world. I mean, I do understand that. This is what we came for. We have a pendant. There is another chest that we will get, another small chest that we'll get before we get to the boss. Careful here.
Even alone,
the bridges don't seem
I
to
fight for my last breath.
Yeah, okay, we want to talk to the white-robed elder.
That monster, my inner demon, it's nearby. I can feel its presence. Your timing is impeccable. Come, let us slay that fiend together. Your timing is impeccable.
Okay, so we will use...
Come, let us slay that fiend together.
So he'll be summonable in the boss fight. And interesting, that boss is supposed to be his inner demon? It's really interesting. He won't follow us around. We'll just summon him when we get to that point. And that will continue his quest line. If you don't summon him, it probably ends his quest line there. But you summon him, even if he dies during the fight, you will meet him after that for a little bit of dialogue. It may be... anyway, I won't speculate at this point. We have some more hanging clams. Not quite sure why clams hang under trees in this game, but it's definitely an interesting, very interesting concept. probably need to do a shrine run for an upgrade soon. Let me figure out. I think that just loops around. We have an avian guy threatening some poor villager. Okay, little villager, he will threaten you no more.
Child, how did you come to be here? A few days ago, I went to the woods in search of herbs, but I came upon a bird-like monster, seizing people from every direction. These weary bones could not outrun them. They dragged me hither amidst their foul nests. This must be their wretched den. Those who were caught alongside me have been devoured one
That's
by
what the
one.
cages were that we saw hanging.
I feel my turn shall soon come. Child,
Those avian guys were
days are numbered. That
keeping them for
bird-like
food, I guess.
monster lurks nearby. Do not fret for me. Flee while you still can.
Of course, now she has me paranoid, looking all around to make sure that whoever she was referring to isn't nearby, but it's not. I'm assuming she's referring to the boss and not the regular avian guys and then the elite ones. That could be wrong. So, yeah, you want to watch out for that. I'm guessing it can either kill you straight out or knock you off of this over the edge, which would then kill you. Okay, so we have a ladder that we're going to kick down. We have an enemy on that side. Ladders are good because it means we can come back up if we go down. And we have a Lotus priest on the other side. So why don't we took care of that guy, why don't we take care of the Lotus priest? And then we can go down. I guess I'm trying to figure out what is really progression here. I don't guess down is progression, right? I think down is let's go get an item and then we come back and we progress. Alright, Lotus priest, you'll wait a few minutes. And this takes us back to the marsh. Oh, okay. I see where we are. This is where we fought one of the avian guys. And this takes us back to the shrine. So if you need to reset, this is a good space to do it because you can bypass all of the guys we've already fought. So let's do a quick little upgrade or level up, and then we can go back and, I guess, refight the little guy we saw and then take out the Lotus Priest. Yeah, one of the things, you know, I was going to stop magic at level 50 and I started putting things into feathering. But I think feathering counts as magic as well, because all of a sudden, you know, my magic is higher than I wanted it to be. I didn't want to go above 50. Not necessarily in this part, but I discovered that probably in the next video you'll see it. You know, so it was a little disappointing, which means instead of putting anything else into magic, I'm going to start putting things into agility and stamina. Doesn't make sense for me to put things into strength. It doesn't do anything for my weapons. So if I put anything into strength, I'll do it once in order to get one of those benediction things, to try to get a node for one of those kinds of things. But other than that, I don't see a reason to do that, especially with this build. You know, I sort of said, oh, I want to be a bit of a battle mage. Well, you can still do that with the build that I currently have, right? If you get the weapon up to, let's say, plus 10, which I think is the max, then you can do some damage with that weapon, especially if you're combining it with spells. I'm doing it a little bit more in this episode than I've done all along. And, you know, as I said in an earlier video, each step of the way I'm going to try to do a little bit more melee. It doesn't mean I won't be doing magic as well, but I'll try to do a little bit more to get used to fighting some of the bosses, because some of the bosses won't give you time to sit there and cast a spell. We're going to come back for that. We just want to kill him first, so he won't aggravate the hell out of us. Yeah, we grab this item. Okay, we see that we can't go any further that way anyway. You can grab this item. There's an item ahead, and then there was the guy we killed earlier on the other side, off to our right. That guy. Okay. So now we need to figure out how the hell to get over. Oh, I see. Okay. It's a little bit of a trap. There's a nest, and there are a couple of items. There's a nest right there as well. There's a ladder leading up a level. Okay, we have an item there. There's some items in there. We have an avian guy. We have two of them. Okay. So my understanding about how this part works is you can kill these two guys, or you can bait them into fighting the elites that will come in if you try to get whatever is in the nest over there. Which really is what I should be doing instead of this, because this will take like an hour to do it the way this is. So let's go up, have a look around, de-aggro them. Well, let's grab this item while we're up here. And what we want to do is, I think you have to run towards that nest down there. You can't just stand at a door and fight them. I don't think the elites will appear until you actually get to the nest. So I don't know whose nest it is. Maybe the nest belongs to the elites and not these two guys. They look like they were guarding whatever is in it, though. Okay, they seem to have de-aggroed. So we go down, and this time we do it the way we should have done it the first time. Okay, that's not how we should have done it. Well, at least one of them's dead. Which will make it not a fair fight if the two elites pop down. Yeah, the elites have bigger feathers, or bigger wings. I guess these are wings. I'm not sure. Are those wings on the guy? Yeah, the elites have bigger wings. And we'll see more of them when we get into Zhenwu Temple proper. The elites. There we go. Now they can fight it out. I should have done it when there were still two of them. I don't think it's going to be much of a fight. Which means I'm still going to be left with having to fight two elites. Probably two full-strength elites. Okay, so I think the other guy's dead. Oh no, he's still fighting. Wow. Okay, well, someone died. It's interesting. I'd be surprised if, we'll see in a second, whether only one elite is left. Because that would mean that that guy who was probably half health took on two elites. I see that one. I can't tell whether there's another one. I'm trying to see if I can see. Close. Okay, so now let's see, is the other one dead or not dead? No, he's not dead. All right, that makes more sense, is that they killed the other guy. I'm glad I didn't run out there. I was going to run out there and then run back. I'm glad I didn't. I have no desire to do what I just did with that one. Okay, if he would just mosey on back to that other area. Because he apparently had no damage from the fight with the other avian guy. So he's at full health. I blasted him with 2 of the infernal flame thingies. Looks like that got him down to half health. This should get him down to only a sliver of life. I should just go down there and hit him a couple of times. Yeah, because he can't have a lot of health left after that. But if you can get them to de-aggro, they'll go back to where, you know, they'll simply reset their position. It's sort of like the guys in the towers when we were lighting the those bonfire thingies. Yeah, they don't seem to notice you when you're coming down the ladder, so you're actually safe to get down. You're using this strategy. Yeah, he's just about dead. Okay, now we're free to loot whatever we want. The main item was the different colored one over here. Oh, some armor. Okay, now we'll take the ladder up, progress up ahead, and I think down another ladder, we'll have to fight another one of these guys. I think it'll be an elite. I don't think it's a regular version of the avian guy. And a leech. That's where the big chest is. This makes me a little nervous. Okay. Okay, we're definitely gonna knock this particular tree down. I'm not sure. Let's see if I can get a better angle. Okay, so it leads back to that hub, back to the shrine. All roads lead to the shrine and from the shrine. Okay, we have a little tussle going on ahead of us, and I hear a bird somewhere that I can't. Oh, there he is. And there's a ladder off to our left. I don't know where it leads, but we're going to let these guys fight it out. I'm going to mop things up. Oop. Is the fight over? No. Either that or he's drunk. I don't see anybody. Oh yeah, I do. Okay. The best thing in the world is when you have enemies fighting each other, because both of them will likely consider you an enemy since you have feathers, and that's gotta go through. Alright. So now we're gonna take a little detour before we go forward. Well, maybe not. I know there are 2 ladders. There's a ladder. There's another bird. I gotta get them all. I don't know that there's an achievement for killing all the birds. Okay, so there are 2 enemies in here. And there are 2 ladders on the left side, I guess, facing them to our left. Right? There's one that's very close to the cave, just outside the cave, and the other one that we passed a little bit ways back. So let's go back to the first ladder. See where this leads. Oh, it leads to the chest. All right. It leads to the big chest. So we definitely have to take this. Okay, so there's a... Okay, he's not an elite. There's a regular avian bird guy, and then there's a leech. He doesn't seem to react when you, like I said, when you come down the ladder, so it's probably best to go down, kill the leech before you confront him, since he's not going to aggro when you're fighting the leech. But you don't want the leech to poison you because you're slowly making your way down the ladder. Just slide all the way down and fight the leech. I don't think the leech will ever de-aggro, so... And they're weak to fire, so if I can just get one of those infernal flame things off, chances are that'll end any issues with the leech. The avian thing is a different story. Let him think about that for a few minutes. And he should de-aggro. probably should have done that in the first place. Right. So you grab this item, and then we can move forward. I will tell you, these little chests are well hidden, and unless you explore, you will not find them all. And again, this is an optional area, so if you didn't do the optional area, you probably missed a couple of these. Okay, so with this done, we make our way back up, and then we continue towards where that cave was, where the two guys were in there talking. As I mentioned, there's another ladder right outside the cave. So if I'm going to use the hit and run tactic, I'm looking for the bird again. If I'm going to use the hit and run tactic, I see him. He's a little bit too far away. Oh, got him. Huh. Okay, so if I'm going to use the hit and run tactic, at least there's a ladder nearby. I don't have to run all the way back down here. That may be what this ladder is for as well. Think about that. So I wondered why there would be two ladders that close together. Okay, so we're going to grab this, and then we're going to grab the other item. Tried to sneak us. So we're going to grab that chest. Little chest. Benediction, and then we're going to grab that other item, and then we're going to go back up the ladder.
I'll sever your head!
Okay, so we can loot the cave. There should be a ladder, yep, inside this cave that leads to a small chest. Okay, there it is. No, is it? Oh no, it led to a spell. Okay. We can always use those as a magic user. Although I admit, I've been sticking to my favorites. I haven't used a lot of the spells. Some are very situational, but I probably could use them in some of the other battles. And it's not like you level the spells up, right? I guess you can increase the magic damage of your weapon. I think your magic output is your magic output, I think. I mean, once you, I shouldn't say that, because once you level it up, like if I get to level 50, which is the soft cap, going to level 51 in magic would make a lot of sense. Okay, this tree should be back to the shrine as well. Which makes perfectly good sense, because opposite this, if I turn around to my back, is an area that leads directly to the boss. So the fact that you have a shrine here, you can heal up, you can change whatever armor you need to change, whatever spells you want to use for this particular boss. This is where the red-clad lady was earlier, and we've been here several times. So the boss we're about to face is the bow sorceress. She's a magic wielder, but I think that weapon she has also does slash damage and or stab damage based on some of the movesets. So we're going to try this a few times. If I don't succeed in the next, let's say, 20 minutes or so, then we will pick this up in the next episode. I actually don't think I'm going to succeed. And in the past I've done one and then showed you the death and then showed you the successful run. And this one, since we have some time at the end of this video and not enough to sort of continue on, but when we start the next video, I think I'll start with one more death and then the final, depending on how many deaths I actually have. This is a very difficult boss. And the fact that I'm a magic wielder, she's a magic wielder, isn't the reason why. It's because she has movesets that require you to learn her timing. And if you learn her timing well, and you are successful with getting the timing right, then it's not so difficult a boss fight. The problem is it takes a while to learn the timing.
The wheel of fate turns beyond our eyes. In this timeless illusion, where does our true path lie?
At last! You've come before me. I shall cleanse all! Arc and shadow.
You can summon the white-robed elder, which I did.
Be gone!
But not sure whether I should summon him early or summon him late in the fight. So those do magic damage. Those little explosions. figure she should be weak to fire,
I shall cleanse all.
but she's got a huge health lead. Because even with Leech on, I'm doing very little damage to her. So this will be a fight of patience. I can see that already.
Be gone.
Yeah, the white robed elder is almost dead. So I should either help him out more or call him in the second half of the fight. It does knock her down though, and I did proc fire on her, which is pretty good. And once he's gone, then she's going to turn her attention directly to me. She doesn't give you a lot of time to get your heals in.
I shall cleanse all.
That, if you're behind the tree, can't get you. Ooh. Okay, she snuck around the tree. Thing about the tree is when she goes into her slice magic combo thingy, you can't see where she is to lock on when she does the final move, which is always a dive. This is where the dodging.
Be gone.
Yeah, well, I clearly am not going to be able to beat her hiding behind the tree. I realize that. I'm just trying to figure out, okay, how do you deal with this? I don't have a weapon that blocks. That's the move, that Starfall move. If you're behind the tree when she does that, it'll miss you. But if you're anywhere else, she'll land pretty close. So as soon as she says Starfall, if you dodge, don't wait to see if you can see the Starfall thingy that she's doing. As soon as she says it. Now Heaven Star is that's the one behind the tree. You can't tell where she is. You can still dodge that final move. Fourth dive move, if you're behind the tree, will protect you. Versus being in the open, where it'll dive, and as soon as that move starts, if you dodge, you should be able to miss it, or end up slightly behind her. And if you have a good poise break weapon, because she's humanoid, that would be effective. And for a first attempt to get her down to, looks like I have about a third of her health gone. So the other thing is that Heaven Star thing. If the first one gets you, you need to get up in a hurry and dodge, because the next one is coming right behind it. So you don't have time to sit and fool around. You need to just immediately move. But you shouldn't get hit. Once you get the timing, you should be able to dodge all of that. Clearly, I'm not able to dodge that. And I wasn't able to dodge that for quite some time. By the time you see this, I would have already defeated her, obviously. So it looks like she's just... Okay, she's starting that again. So you just dodge. She does 3, followed by the big one. That's the only... The tree is good for a couple of things. The tree is good for that one move. And it's good for moves in her second phase, which we haven't gotten to. Probably good for dodging those water bubbles as well, and dodging that. But you can't get any damage in, so you're just wasting real time, right? Because unless you can do something to damage her, you're going to use all of your resources long before you ever complete the fight. I know this is a bad idea, but I figured, okay, at least if I gain some health while I'm fighting her. But the way this works is I never gain as much health as I end up losing. The little magic things hurt a lot.
Thinks to best me.
And that's that. Not a bad first try. But if this is anything like true Souls games, that first try when you look like, yeah, I made some real good progress, I've learned, I think I can do this, and then 85 tries later, you end up finally beating the boss. So the first try, you get a little bit of luck going. You know, you definitely need the White Robe Elder to further his quest. Whether you need him at the beginning of the fight or not, I think is debatable. I think that the smarter move would be to wait until you get into her second phase, because I think he can survive that. I think he's not going to survive 2 phases. I mean, if I was playing as a tank, he probably would, but playing as a magic wielder, that's not going to be true for him, because he's doing most of the work. He's the one that's creating most of the damage. The Infernal Flames did some damage, but not quite sure that's the best spell. And Infernal Flames doesn't have Alacrity, so she can interrupt my using that. And I think I used it most of the time when she was fighting the White Robed Elder.
At last! You've come before me.
She wouldn't even let me use the bone whistle. Wow. She's like, yeah, nah, you're not doing that. Yeah, he jets from across the room. It's pretty impressive. I hope that's a skill I can develop, or a spell I can have. But yeah, I don't think he's meant to like tank her all on his own. I think it's meant for me to actually be in here fighting as well. But even still, look at her health. It's not doing any real damage to her. So I figured I would use Corruption, or at least try Corruption. But I think in order for me to proc Corruption on her, it will take probably 4 or 5 of those lobbies. I don't think I'll be able to do it quick enough if she moves around pretty fast.
Be gone! I shall cleanse all!
All of that I did. Yeah, I mean, it's... the damage I'm doing is just not high enough. Okay, so you'll notice that I changed outfits that has more magic mitigation. Although I'm not sure whether it's the magic that's killing me or whether it's slash that's killing me. I don't know that I can't tell which is which. For one thing, that I need to utilize more. She just moves too fast for me to use any of that stuff. One of the things I could utilize a little bit more is the evasive maneuver of my weapon, which is the L1 trigger, and it sort of triggers an automatic dash while gaining you additional Skyborn might.
I shall cleanse all.
And if you choose a spell that has alacrity, when you do that, it actually gains you the ability to trigger that spell more frequently. But it really is a game, if you use that method, it's a game of really dodging all the time. You don't have to hit her at all, you can just dodge. And as long as it's generating alacrity in those feathers, you'll be able to use the spells.
At last, you've come before me.
I stuck with the same armor. She's not giving me a chance to breathe. Jeez, I'm trying to get to a point where I can heal.
Heaven's stars. A mere mortal.
Okay, yeah, that was bad from the very beginning. It was silly for me not to heal. That was just really silly. That was the silliest. Like, okay, well, you got very little health. One hit and you're gonna be dead. Okay, so we'll try this again. I don't know how long I'm going to stick with this particular spell thingy that I'm using. I don't think it actually works. I think there's a better one.
At last, you've come before me.
Okay, so this will be the last or second to last. Let's see if I can survive more than a minute. Getting the poor white-robed elder killed over and over and over again. Poor guy. But I don't understand how this is his inner demon. That's the part I'm a little confused by. I wonder if I'll get the Skyfall spell. That's a pretty cool spell.
Thinks to best me.
Yeah, we heard you. At least you're not saying my name. I am Millennia. You know, that would drive me crazy. Anyway, so this will be the last attempt. And then we will pick up in the next episode right where we're leaving off, with us battling both sorcerer. You know, when I'm playing these games, I do bang my head against the wall a little bit. Like, okay, well, clearly this current setup is not working. This spell's not working, and the armor isn't working, but yet I'm sticking with it.
A mere mortal thinks to best me.
So when we come back, we will continue our series, and I'll let you know how many times I ended up dying. You know, in this recording, I think it's 11 times.
At last, you've come before me.
Okay, so this spell, I did change some things. This is a spell that has
thinks to best me.
It has alacrity, so it should regenerate pretty quickly, but I ended up, you know, getting hit too early.
You've come before me.
So anyway, when we pick up in the next episode, like I said, we're going to start off right here. I'm going to probably switch my outfit, but I am going to stick with this spell.
To best me.
I think this spell is the key, and I also think using the evasive maneuver on my short sword is the key. So I'm going to do those two things, and I'm going to get good at doing those two things until I beat her. And then we will... There's one more step that we need to do in this area before we move on to Zhenwu, the area that's leading to Zhenwu Temple. We'll do all of that in the next episode. So thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you soon. If you like this video, please subscribe, and more importantly, please comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what I could do differently. Your opinion is important to me. All right. Thank you. Take care, and I'll see you soon.